Hey everybody, my name is Kelly Donawa, and I've had an opportunity to participate in a couple of your calls that Shakey and Marcus have done. I'm super excited. I'm part of the Winner Circle group online, always full of good stuff. So I'm actually a real estate agent that's licensed in the state of Texas. So I wanted to join today just to give a little bit of information, some real estate tea with Kelly D. Oh, I didn't mean to rhyme all that, but it worked. I'm a rapper in my free time. No, I'm kidding. So I want to just go over a couple little things just from a realtor's perspective. And I have a huge appreciation for what you guys do in investing. I actually partner with Shakey and Marcus listing their properties. I also operate in the traditional market with more traditional buyers and sellers as well. So I'm sort of here to just kind of give my 2 cents for what it's worth, answer any questions, and just kind of provide some insight, maybe from a different point of view, from someone that's objective and kind of sees from the outside looking in on various, facets of the business. So I wanted to start with how to get the most out of your investment. So obviously Shakey and Marcus give some valuable, videos, information on their group about investments. From my point of view, I look at the comps. And so you hear a lot about comps, comparables. I think it's super important that whenever you're going into an area, especially if you're not that familiar with it, you're looking at both sold comps as well as active or pending. And what you want to see is obviously with the sold comps, what are similar or lesser or better homes selling for. Also, whenever you look at pending, what's currently under contract. And then with active, you need to see who's your competition going to be, right? Because if I'm someone and I'm buying in a neighborhood, people are either going to generally buy for neighborhood or for price. Hopefully you can hit the sweet spot and get multiple groups because your price is good enough to pull in people that wouldn't otherwise look in that particular neighborhood. But the reality is a lot of times people are kind of neighborhood specific with what they look for. And so it's really important that you look at active comps, not, just so you know if a potential buyer is looking at your home, what other homes are they looking at and what are you going up against? I think that's super important. Another thing is, when you think about getting the most out of your investment, I think it's really important. So as a real estate agent, I don't know everything. I do work with buyers, sellers, investors, but I think it's really important that you have either a consultant, an industry leader, or just someone you really trust that understands real estate, understands about buying and selling. Even from the investing side, maybe it's someone that's not even in real estate at all, but they've bought and sold tons of personal properties, so they understand kind of what to look for and sort of what red flags might be out there or whatever. It's really important that you surround yourself with people that you trust and that are not necessarily, just going to tell you what you want to hear, but are educated in helping you get to the next step of whatever those goals are that you're trying to accomplish. Yep. So, and then the last thing I had around this was cosmetic rehab versus repairs. And I think this is super important when you think about how much you can put in and expect to get back for your investment. I'm from a small town east of Houston, and we have a saying that says, if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, right? And essentially that's the difference between a cosmetic rehab and a repair. If you're just sort of just putting paint on a wall, but there's underlying issues that you're not looking at, or you're not really looking at repairing certain things, you just want to cover it up. Chances are they're going to have an inspector. This buyer's going to have an inspector, and it's going to come to light. And once these things start coming to light, essentially they're going to start questioning, well, what else did they cover up? What else did they, because when you fill out your seller's disclosure, they know you haven't lived in there, and generally you'll have a business name for, the seller. So then it's not a secret generally that you're flipping.
Right.
But if you are just doing the cosmetic surface stuff and not repairing where needed, it can really make a big difference. And there are some main ticket items that where you look at doing the cosmetic stuff that's going to make the most bang for your buck. And actually, Shakey and Marcus do a great job of that. So I wanted them to talk a little bit about, I guess, where they put, when you think about just cosmetically where you can get the most of your investment, where they choose to put those dollars.
Yeah. And I also want to touch on when you said, cosmetic versus repair, you end up spending more money once you get the inspector out, because you're going to have to make those repairs. Because even if you put it back on the market, you decide not to go with their buyer because they're asking for too many repairs with their inspection. You put it back on the market, chances are the next inspector is going to find it. So you're going to have to eventually make those repairs. So you made it look pretty, and then you're going to have to tear it out, do the repairs, and obviously make it look pretty again. But also talking about some of the high ticket items that will give you the most bang for your buck cosmetically, is what you hear is really true. Kitchens and bathrooms and flooring. Flooring matters to a lot of people.
Your property.
Because if you don't get the correct material, what most buyers are looking for within that price range, or color. Like, you can get the completely wrong color. You can design the house beautifully, and you do all the same flooring, and the flooring is the wrong color, and you just kill the whole look of the house. Countertops. If you go and put just I don't know what material, some crappy material countertop other than
DIY
granite
concrete
countertop. What typical buyers are looking for now, granite, your quartz countertops. You just run the whole thing. So
even some solid surfaces are good, but they can be hit or miss too.
Right.
I've seen people put that in, and then the backsplash is completely off, and they're not.
Nothing stick out more than a tile that's just a half, not even half, a fourth of an inch off from the tile right next to it. They will see it in a minute.
Oh yeah, them dog know. I just sent her a picture of a house today. That's on the market, and it's killing the comfort of the properties I send you. It's just been sitting there because it has like 3 different type of backsplashes. The whole rehab is like done really nice, but then they put in like 3 different kind of tiles for the backsplash. I'm like, why would you ever do that? So and they don't go together. They don't match. So but so that just kitchen, bathrooms, and flooring to me are some of the high ticket items to give you the most bang for your buck cosmetically.
And I think that kind of brings us into the next topic, which is market trends. So again, when Shakey's talking about the 3 different tile, or hey, right now granite or quartz countertops are in, things like that. There's a couple of things. No white appliances. Please don't.
Yeah, appliances actually matters too. They're pretty low cost when you think about the whole price of everything you're paying for the house. But if you have white appliances,
you're going to automatically, people are going to feel that the house is dated automatically when you have white appliances.
Right.
So, but talking about market trends, again, that sort of goes into that. I think it's important when you're watching HGTV, those things can be filmed 6 months, a year before you're actually watching them. And trends are always changing, and buyers respond. There are going to be certain things that are sort of, classic throughout. And then obviously there's going to be some buyers that absolutely love sort of this one niche type. Maybe they like the black and white checkered flooring, right? But we're not thinking about that. You're looking at how do you appeal to the most buyers, because the ultimate goal is to get the most amount of money, potentially have multiple offers, be able to drive up, that price that you're able to get from your home, because you're offering a product that really speaks to current trends and what buyers are responding to. And I think it's super important that you utilize some things. Some things I like to use are the Houzz app, Houzz. It's actually a site that sells different things, but it also has lots of different styles. So there can be, for instance, I've noticed like the royal blue cabinets with the gold handles. They're on trend, but they're not necessarily what would appeal to every buyer. So when you go on Houzz, you're going to see some of that. And then you're going to see like the more neutral tone type things. But it's actually, it'll have a whole room set up, and it'll have price tags where you could, if you were interested in something or something similar, you could shop. But more importantly, it's showing you an entire room, either bathroom, bedroom, whatever, put together, and you can get some visual ideas for what you want to do. The other thing is model home tours. If you go into communities, the model homes are open generally most of the time. Certainly you want to ask, when was the model home built? Because again, if it was built 3 years ago, it may be the decor may reflect 3 years ago.
Right.
So you go into model homes in newer neighborhoods where they were built more recently. You know, they pay top dollar for interior designers to come in there and design those homes with what's gonna. Because if you think about, you know, a new build, it's one model home and they have to sell all their other models, all their other floor plans with it, right? So they really want it to, you know, the buyer to respond to that. So that's another great free, easy place just to go and get some inspiration or some ideas, snap pictures, whatever.
Yeah, and use model homes within your same price range.
Yeah.
Don't go to a $500,000 model home and you're designing a $100,000 home.
Yeah.
You don't want to go over budget.
Right. And there's plenty of, lower price range new homes that have model homes available for you to go and look at. And that's really, if that's your niche, you know, go in there. And again, they're set up. They paid somebody a whole lot of money to entice those buyers in that price range.
Right.
So.
And also, if you're in a niche, it's also other investors that are in the niche. Make sure you're looking at, what's been sold.
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can add your flavor onto it a little bit, but don't reinvent the wheel. If that's what's selling, go with it.
Your MLS sold pictures in the last 6 months, I mean, those are gold to you and you'll be able to see the pictures or the style of the houses versus the sold price. So it's a huge benefit to you. You're essentially given something that says, hey, the buyers in this neighborhood or general area are buying these types of things at this price range.
Absolutely.
So you're not having to really guess what they're responding to. The MLS is literally giving you that information.
Right.
What else? Oh, so we talked a little bit in the first one about relationships. So having someone that you trust and that you can communicate with. I think it's super important that you have an accountability partner, that you're bouncing ideas off of people. Again, some people might look at the relationship that we three have and say, well, generally investors don't always work with real estate agent. And truth be told, there's certainly things whenever they purchase properties and things like that I'm not a part of that transaction. And that's perfectly fine because when we meet, we talk business, we're bouncing ideas off of one another. And that really my passion is helping them grow their business. And I know that that's their passion with me as well. And we do it in a space that says, I'm not going to take from their money to get my own money. Instead, I'm going to help them maximize their money. And then I know it'll come back. And I learn from them all the time, different stuff about, investing and, different things. And then hopefully in turn, I'm giving them information that they can use to get more dollars. So if you think about that, don't be afraid to sort of, I guess, go outside what's normal when you think about those accountability partners or those business type people, right?
Yeah, that's even what we're doing here. That's actually good you said that. That's what we're doing here because normally you don't see people trying to come together to give people as much information as possible for free. And that's what we're doing. That's what Kelly is helping us do. And she loves to do it just as much as we do. And so, just y'all are our accountability partners. We know that people are counting us to give them this information, and we feel obligated to do so because we've learned so much and we've been so blessed in the industry. So why not give back to other people? So we use y'all as accountability partners. That's why we ask y'all to come to these things, ask as many questions as possible, because we want to give the information out to y'all. We want everyone to win. We really do. Because when y'all win, so do we.
Yep. We just did that, the whole relationship thing and bouncing ideas off each other. Remember when we were talking about one of the properties that we're rehabbing now, and there's one bathroom, right? And we were trying to figure out, okay, do we keep the tub or do we do a shower or what? We couldn't figure it out. So guess who we called? I was like, she knows what's going to sell this house. So we don't know. So
yeah, and I don't know. I haven't worked with a ton of realtors before, but I don't think most realtors are coming out to investors' properties before they finish them. Kelly came out. I wish I would have brought her from the very beginning. But she came out. She was like, yeah, all you have to do is this, and that. And you could have a second bathroom. I'm like,
oh my God, we could have another bathroom.
We could have had another, but we had already framed up and everything. So it's good. But I'm just very grateful that she's willing to do things like that. And now I know I'm going to bring her in from the very beginning when we buy the house and see, what else can we do?
And that, honestly, I mean, I'm not a genius, I'm pretty smart, but I'm not a genius. But really what the feedback I'm giving them is based on assisting buyers, traditional buyers, in all different price ranges.
Right.
So the feedback I'm giving them isn't just, I sat in this real estate class and they told me XYZ is the case. It's actually real life application with what actual buyers that I've assisted that have or have not chosen a property based on certain things. And I can share that with them. And it does change on certain price points. So whenever I was assisting someone buying a $500,000, beach house in Galveston, that's, they want shiplap and they want it to look like you're at the beach and they want coral everywhere and that big swordfish on the wall. But if you do that, like in a house that's maybe not on the beach, you're going to look like it's 1980s, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's important. The same could be said about inspectors. I have relationships with some inspectors where sometimes before someone will list, they'll come out and just give a verbal, looking over. And they'll essentially say, hey, these are some things that might pop up on an inspection, but they're not giving a report. So you're not having to disclose, but it's still a benefit because that's what they do. They inspect houses all the time, and it can help you get ahead of any potential issues that might come up. And I know Shakey mentioned the inspection report earlier, and it's important to note that legally you have, if the buyer turns over that inspection report to you, even if they cancel the contract for 4 years, you are legally required to disclose that. Even if, say, a person bought it and then in 2 more years they went to sell, it's in that 4-year window, they have to disclose that inspection report. So I think it's really important for you to understand that, so that someone can't come back on you one day or things like that. When you think about the cosmetic, going a little bit back to that cosmetic, rehab versus an actual repair, it's not something you could always fix it and say, hey, here's an inspection report, we fixed it. But again, it calls into question a lot of the workmanship, and you could just avoid that.
Right. And what you're saying, like, about you coming in and giving advice on the front end and inspectors, that's really good because it's not other investors that's going to be buying our properties. It's your traditional buyers. And since you work with them on the daily, we're getting like inside information.
Exactly.
So, that it's always, you have to see the benefit in those relationships and, have to think more creatively to where everyone wins in the end.
Right.
So,
and there may be things like there might be things that I've said and then they say, okay, but we're going this way, and that's okay. And I think that's where it's important also when you're building these relationships. There's going to be plenty of people out there that maybe are jealous of your success or whatever, but I would argue that there's equally as many people that really want to see you succeed and will work together to encourage and uplift you. Some of my best, accountability partners or people to bounce ideas off of are other real estate agents who literally work in the same area as me, but we're not competitive about, oh, you got that person's listing, I didn't. It's more about learning from one another and growing. So as you're looking to build that network, make sure you're looking for the qualities in that person that you're going to share back with them, and you may run across a couple and, false starts, but don't give up and just know, again, honestly, I feel like, I'll say it. I know real estate agents sometimes have a bad reputation, right? Just like investors can sometimes have a bad reputation, but there's good and bad in everything. And I think when you're surrounding yourself with people that mirror your integrity and what you're trying to achieve, you all work together for that common goal.
Right. And just have that overall abundant mindset will take you really, really far.
That's true.
So, it's like we have people asking us all the time, why are you giving this information out for free? And like we said in the past, we just don't want people to have to struggle for information. We always feel like the struggle should be in the process of doing something with the information that you're getting. And we hold true to that. So I'm not afraid to tell everybody in the winner circle every single detail of everything that we're doing, because we know that when it's all said and done, it's going to come back around to us in some form of fashion, and it's going to elevate everybody that we're sharing it with. So that's very important to us.
Just like with me, I don't expect all of you guys are like, oh yeah, we want to list with her. Again, you have to see value. You may have connections,
but you should.
You may have connections with other real estate agents, but I think it's important to understand that I'm here we'll have a Q&A session at the end, and I would encourage you, like, ask away. I'm not sensitive. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. I'm not naive to the the thoughts and the feelings that kind of exist around sometimes within investors utilizing real estate agents. But I think it's just important to educate yourself and know, just like some real estate agents are like, oh, I'm not going to take my buyer to that house. It's a flip from an investor. You know, it's the same thing. It's just about knowing what value it can bring to you. Right. And again, same thing with me. Like, I'll answer any questions or give you any kind of insight that I can without expecting anything in return.
Right.
Because the more you know and the better you are at investing and flipping, the prettier houses and the more, you know, complete houses that I get to sell to my buyers, right? And so it really is a win-win situation, right? So,
and I know, she said she don't expect everyone here to want to list with her. Oh, I'm here to tell you should, but also, you know, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You have to think more creatively, and how can this person help you help them, right? Did I say that right? Help you. Okay. So, you know, some of you may be thinking, well, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm not flipping yet. But even as a wholesaler, you have to think of, how can this benefit me? Right. If you don't have your buyers list together yet, Kelly knows plenty of traditional buyers, or, you know, she knows other investors as well. And not just Kelly, you know, any realtor. We're trying to, you know, have everyone win. But I know Kelly personally knows buyers, and you may have this property under contract and you don't necessarily want to list it on MLS or whatever, but she may know a buyer that's looking in that area, and then you can connect that way. So you have to think more creatively. I don't even know if that's allowed, but I mean,
it is. It absolutely is. We can sell off MLS.
Because we don't want to be doing anything illegal.
No, yeah, I love what I do. I won't risk my license.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to tell you guys how to do anything, you know, to risk what you're doing, because just like you guys are all in with this is what you do for your job. You know, I myself, this is what I do for my job. I have a lovely husband who works for Starbucks, and that's great, but we have 3 kids and they're all girls and they're super expensive. So I need my license to, you know, pay for all of their needs and our things. So I'll always provide insight and information, and I'll also be the first one to tell you when I say, hey, that's something you should look out for, because it could come back to you.
Right. And that leads me, I hate to put, well, I like putting you on the spot. That leads me to Daniel. So Daniel, I'm gonna connect.
Like,
I want to have a conversation with you after this, with Kelly as well, you and Kristen. Oh, you want to talk about the traditional?
One of the things was business in the traditional buyer and seller market. Again, I've learned so much working with these guys in the investment market. And I think I just wanted to put it out there and say, you know, if there's any questions, because I think there's a lot of assumptions made, just like maybe in the past, or other agents I see make assumptions about investors or wholesaling specifically, you know, oh, you're scamming the person, whatever, right? And the more educated you are and the more you understand the other side of the coin, I think the easier it makes it to really be successful in all facets of this business. So I just wanted to put it out there and, you know, see if you guys have any questions. Just as a little insight, last year I did just like 5.6 million in production. This year I'm on track to do just over 6.5 million in production.
And let me tell y'all, look, I hate to cut you off, but let me tell y'all, when I first started working with Kelly, she proved her work to me by just like doing our first property. Yeah, we had been working with her all the way up until like a couple of months ago. I had no idea. I knew she was good at what she does. I had no idea Kelly was selling that much real estate. Yeah. It was funny how it came about. So our daughters are friends. They go to the same school, and I saw this other realtor, and I was like, oh, okay, I was like the whole conversation, and he was like, yeah, I'm a realtor, and I said, yeah, I'm an investor, and he was like, yeah, go check out my numbers. I said, well, I already work with an investor. I just, you know, like to talk to, I'm sorry, I already work with a realtor. I just like to talk to other realtors in case you have like, you know, pocket listings that you want to send to me to buy, but I already have my go-to agent that I use to sell on all my properties. He was like, go check out my numbers. I guarantee you my numbers are going to crush hers. Why did he tell me to do that?
That's the wrong way to approach somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not.
Even worse than this, guys, is he's a Facebook friend, lives in my neighborhood, so I don't expect him to know my personal production, but he should know that maybe I'm doing some business.
Right. And I don't know why he told me to do that, especially if he knows her numbers, because I went to check them out. That was my first time looking at them. I was like, Marcus. I was like, I had no idea. I said, no, I knew when I went to check them that her numbers were going to be good. but I had no idea she was the rich friend.
I got 3 daughters, so really I'm not the rich friend.
Look, Joan,
Right? I may be the friend that makes a lot of money, but I got a kid that spends a lot of money. And I think that's important too. And you know what? I appreciated that story. One, because that guy kind of is always a jerk to me, so it kind of felt good that happened. That he was trying to poach my client and then acted like he didn't know who I was, and then I clearly blew him out of the water in results. But honestly, I'm not one. I don't talk a lot about my numbers or what I'm doing. And much like you guys do, if you're doing wholesaling or if you're looking for those deals, when you're talking to that person, it's about them and it's about that deal. And actually, when Shakey told me this story, she's like, I'm sorry, you know, I wasn't looking at your numbers because I didn't think you were doing. I was like, no, you know what? It makes me feel good to think that you thought, like, basically you are my only client, right? Because that's what I think is important when you're building those relationships. Because when that other person across the table, whether it's a seller or a potential agent that you work with, whatever that is, when there's a feeling of clear, concise communication and a priority around your business, and again, when I think about how real estate agents sometimes get a bad rap as it relates to investors and things like that, what value are they bringing to you? Because it was great for me to hear that, because then I felt like I must really be bringing her some value to feel like I'm giving my full attention to her transaction, because that's my number one goal, because she's my client and I want to make sure she and he are my clients, and I want to make sure that, you know, that they're that whatever their goals are met. And I'll ask them sometimes, like, what do you guys want to do? Like, how many houses? Like, that's important to me. When they say, hey, we're going to buy this house, you know, we're thinking of it. Can you send me the comps? You know, I don't care that they're not using me on that buying deal, because if I bring them value, I'm going to be listing a beautiful home and helping them maximize their dollar in a short amount of time and just kill it. I want them to be the highest comp house in that neighborhood that sells.
Absolutely.
You know?
Which we have been so far.
So far so
the
good.
last, 4 or 5 flips we've been.
Absolutely.
We're setting the market right now.
After our first deal, we done with her, we made $48,000. Like, I'm putting numbers out there now. Made $48,000, and she was like, "Oh, y'all done so good. I'm gonna."
And I asked you, what was the most?
She asked what was the most, and I think it was 63. And I told her,
I gotta beat it.
She said, "We're gonna beat it." And we beat it. That was great.
Right.
Because I want to bring value to them, knowing I want to make you the most amount of money in the least amount of time, and free up those funds for you to reinvest, save, make those goals personal and professional that you have. So again, you know, when you think about what value does it bring, and I don't know if they want me to share the story, but when we met, they actually wanted to use a flat fee MLS listing thing, and I said, okay, can we have breakfast? Like, let me take you to eat. I just want a chance to talk about it. No strings attached. And again, she said, our kids are friends. And I said, we'll be, hey, May. My daughter's on the call. Oh, she's doing that. So I said, no matter what, our kids are still friends, and there's no hard feelings. I have other business, but I just want a chance to talk to you and find out why you're utilizing that. And really it was a cost thing. And it was like, hey, it's low cost, you know, they can go in and out. And so I said, you know, I feel like you could do more and you can make more, and this is how. And I actually told them, hey, let's make a deal. You know, I'll list for just the price of my pictures.
Well, see, I wasn't even going to tell them. Okay, go ahead.
Now they're friends, and I don't work with, you know, just anybody. But I said, you know, what do you want to sell it for? And then I set a range, and I said, okay, if I hit this range, then, you know, we're talking commission on my side, right? Because help me help you, right? And I took a full gamble. I went home and told my husband, geez, I may be listing this house for free, which I never do. never do. And I said, but I believed, because of what I knew from the market, from buyers, from assisting sellers, from assisting buyers, I knew that they were missing out on money. And if I could make them X amount of money more, then I could also get a piece of that pie, and then hopefully continue working with them. So I think it's really important. Now, I will say a part of that too was they were my first investors that I ever worked with. So they sort of got the steal of the deal on that one with the gamble, right? And I told them, I said, I'm a gambler. I'll take risks, but I believe that you guys are leaving money on the table. And this is why.
And I mean, when I tell you, they
looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah, it was an offer we couldn't refuse for one. But when I tell you, that was the fastest selling house we've ever sold. That house sold
hours.
A couple of hours.
And it wasn't just one offer.
It was multiple offers. I think we had 9 offers on that one too. Multiple offers same day. Like, and she didn't lowball us. We didn't have multiple offers because the price was low. We got over asking, and we had to end up lowering it because it didn't even appraise that much.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know, so those things are important. And we had that conversation, so it's not like I said, oh, you're going to make $1 million. You know, but when I looked at the comp, I looked at the neighborhood, I saw what they were doing. I was like, you guys are leaving money on the table. You know, let's make some more money together, right? So that being said, because I do operate a lot in that traditional buyers and sellers space, you know, I wanted to see if you guys had any questions. You know, don't be shy, or again, there might not be a whole lot of stuff
on Facebook Live too. If y'all have any questions, y'all can go ahead and type them out, and we'll try to get them answered. So I know sometimes it's a little bit delayed on there, but if you have questions on Zoom, just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask them. Daniel, did you have a question?
I think we can unmute you if you have it. Have a question.
Daniel, did you have a question?
Oh, I'm trying to put the chat thing. I see a chat here.
We can hear you.
Okay. I mean, of course, you know, I got a lot of questions, you know.
Go ahead.
You know, since you first started talking, since you first started talking, you know, every time you started talking about something, I had a question right there. But I didn't want to interrupt you or, you know, something like that. But, you know, just one that I can remember right now, of course, you were talking about fixing up, you know, the properties. And I guess all of us have to have that interior design, you know, kind of mentality when we're walking into these homes. And then, of course, you do too. You know, you got to know what's in there, whatnot in these houses. You were talking about going with the trends. I mean, I remember back in the day when it was pine, then it went to cherry wood, then it went to mahogany.
Oh, yes.
Now it's grays.
It's about the grays are on the way. They're still relevant now. But
they're probably on the way. I mean, I think those goals are going to come back in.
So like in terms of that, besides, you know, colors and whatnot, but like what about like traditional versus farmhouse versus contemporary versus in a traditional neighborhood? You know, would it be like, for instance, you want to turn it into a contemporary home and in a traditional style neighborhood? I mean, does it even make sense for one to do that? Because I've seen it a few times. Like, you know, we'll be going through Zillow or something, and we'll look at the house, you know, just browsing, you know, and we'll see some real somebody staged it like real contemporary style in this old 1950s home, you know, but.
I'm that buyer. I love that. Give me like a blue house with a white siding in a 70s. That's me all day. Like my husband's probably like, no, he hates the 70s house. So 2 things to that. One is, and this is the one I struggle with. You want to do what's on trend and what buyers are responding to, and not what you respond to. So again, I'm that person. I love nothing more than a mid-century modern house that has been updated with like a white trim and a dark blue color, and you go in and everything is sleek and white and modern. Like that's my jam, right? But that is not what the majority of the masses are necessarily looking for. So I think I have to be aware whenever I'm giving advice or I'm looking at a house with a buyer or I have a seller that's getting ready to stage and list, I have to be aware of what's actually on trend and not what do I like. And when you think about the neighborhood, the reason why you see that is even if you're in a traditional neighborhood, you can have a traditional home, but the interior is on trend, which may not feel traditional, and it's going to sell. Because people want curb appeal, but they're going to spend the majority of their time generally inside the home. So they want it to feel fresh and modern. And I don't mean modern like, you know, square, you know, like, you know, sharp edges and everything stainless. Not at all, but what's on trend right now. So if you think about a farmhouse, it is on trend right now, but if you do a lot of light colors, neutrals, grays, if someone likes that, you can usually buy like a magnolia plant to like a wreath to put on the door, or it feels farmhouse, but you're actually not putting shiplap on the wall, which could actually turn off buyers.
Yeah.
So simple staging pieces, I mean, we've been lucky that you don't even have to get to the staging piece.
Right, yeah.
Virtual staging is a huge help if you want to like say, my house to have a certain vibe. But I would stay away from actually doing things. I think focal points are important, and I'll let these guys talk a little bit about that. But I think if you install shiplap on a wall, or you do something that's semi-permanent in that way, you can actually turn off a lot of buyers. But if you look at even some of the, like the house in Dayton,
Yeah.
it could have easily been had a farmhouse added to it with the colors that they selected, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also think part of that sometimes comes from the whole glorified TV shows too, because you have the flip or flop, and they're designing their houses based on the way they feel at the moment. Like, okay, I want to do this farmhouse look. I want to do this.
The Vegas people are like,
yeah.
But when you think about the market, they're in a very high dollar market. So I think even here that matters too. Now you don't want to go real big when you're in the higher end, but when you're in the higher end, sometimes you can get away with a little bit more than when you're on the lower end. So they just want something that's going to look nice, up to date,
on trend, but that they could decorate. So their house in Dayton, it could have been a farmhouse, or someone could have made it kind of like a sort of a bohemian vibe, right?
Yeah.
So the decor is what makes it, with the fundamental, the tiles, the colors, all of that is on trend. And you're not going in putting a huge fixture where it takes away from the room or something like that.
We always try to do at least one feature in every house that just draws buyers' attention. She actually we're a top 5 items inspectors before, but we always try to do one feature that buyer is gonna it's gonna attract buyers. So in one of our houses, we added a chandelier over the tub. Not anything too fancy, just something that was it was in a townhouse community, so you can get a little more funky with a townhouse. And it was like the medical center area, so you're gonna have those young buyers, young professionals, that's looking for that type of thing. The last house she was talking about basement, we added a wine rack over the fridge. Our first house, we got stacked stone wall on the fireplace. So we'll try to add at least one feature in, but don't do the entire house with one, thing.
Because you want to appeal to the widest range of buyers. Now, with the chandelier kind of over the top, she knew that her market, the age range was a little lower, more professional, sort of millennial buyers. So if an older buyer went in there, not every older buyer, in general, they may go, that's horrible. But the bigger amount of buyers, knowing your market is super important.
Right.
And that's where when I go back to knowing a market expert, a real estate agent should be able to give you, or whomever, to be able to give you an idea of who you're creating that house for, who is going to buy that house. And that's what you have to take into consideration when you're choosing all of your finishes.
Okay.
So, M-Dog's on the line. She asks, what are the top 5 items inspectors look for first? Sheesh, well, I don't know if they go in order, but they look for everything.
They do.
I think important to note is being aware at your price point. If you're doing under the $250 price point, your chances of having FHA buyers is much higher.
Yep.
And so I think there's a couple things you should be aware of, that even if the inspector notes it and the buyer doesn't care about it, the appraisal will kick back, is rotted boards along the bottom. It's also, for FHA, you can't have a cracked window, like in the actual glass. If it's a VA loan, you have to have a clearance around where your foundation is. Like, you can't have mulch right up to where the brick starts or where the siding starts. You have to actually have, I believe it's a 6-inch clearance around the bottom. And I've literally had deals where the VA appraiser came out. There was one deal, they had to come out and reappraise because they had to move it all the way. And the reason for that is termites. It's a termite thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something we learned. I'm sorry, this is off topic, but something we learned on the last property, because we typically, for whatever reason, was always choosing conventional Okay. Anyway, we always should go with the conventional buyers for our property. So I think the last one was the first FHA we went with. We did not know that the appraiser can actually ask for repairs.
Yeah.
Remember the appraiser?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Ask for
never happened before.
Because it's a government-backed loan, VA and FHA are government-backed loans. So the government actually says, hey, great, you guys appraise it, it's this dollar amount, whatever, but these things cannot be on there.
Right.
So like the cracked window, and the buyer may say, it's fine, my dad owns a window company, I'll just get it changed right out. It doesn't matter. There's certain guidelines. I don't want you guys to be afraid of a VA buyer or to be afraid of an FHA buyer. If you're educated about them, like they can actually bring you more money for your house. So I think it's important that you understand how those loan types work and you don't fear them.
Yeah, no, we didn't fear it. We just, I mean,
you didn't know they could come back. They can hold up your loan.
We just always had so many offers. We were able to pick and choose. So, but no, we're not afraid of the FHA. I had no idea.
Yeah, they can come back. Yeah. So back to the appraiser thing. Obviously, they're going to make a strong recommendation if there seems to be foundation issues, roofing, major roofing issues. If the inspector starts noticing things, and again, not going back, but going back to the cosmetic rehab versus actual repairs, as they start seeing, plumbing, electrical, all those things are important. If you think about, unless the house is like brand new where you got all the electrical redone, chances are your electric stuff is going to be out of code. And that's not something to worry so much about. Honestly, the buyer's agent should have that conversation with them. And it shouldn't be something to fear. But if the inspector is a quality inspector, they're really going to take the time to look at all facets of the house and really help the buyer understand what are big ticket items that they should be concerned about having to invest more money over the life of owning that home versus general things that happen. I actually represent a new home builder, new construction as well. And we, inspections, people will have third-party inspectors. And even on a brand new home, you'll have 3, 4, 5 pages of things. They're just nitpicky here and there, right?
And it depends on what we found out also. Inspectors specialize in different things. So you may have an inspector that specializes in plumbing. So he's going to be very specific when he's checking the plumbing, but may, let some stuff slide on the electrical because he's not that, familiar with it.
One thing I do want to point out, and I think is important for you guys to know, because if someone comes in and their inspector says, oh man, I think there might be foundation issues, because a lot of times you guys may be buying older homes, so that may be a concern. And then the buyer says, okay, well, oops, there's the inspector. I'm going to have a foundation inspection done. They're calling 9 times out of 10, they're calling a foundation company who are salespeople who are going to say, oh yes, this needs a pier here or a pier there. I think what you need to be educated in is to say, hey, we want, we don't want, a foundation company. We want a structural engineer. And I would, say it even behooves you to maybe pay half that cost. It's about $500, even just to say, because one, if it does need foundation, you're going to have to disclose that buyer backs out anyway. So it's important that you actually know what's going on. But two, I think a lot of people don't know that, and they wind up doing foundation repair with salespeople company. It's like if you take your car that's 3 years old and you get the oil change, and they go, oh, you need an air filter and this and that. But really, there's nothing wrong with it. It just isn't brand new. Right. So I think it's important to educate yourself and to, keep your money where it should be, because a lot of times buyers don't even know that. And sometimes even agents don't know that. Right. But there is a big difference between a structural engineer that does a foundation inspection versus, there's foundation companies I love and I recommend to my buyers when they want that, and there's great companies out there, but when they send one of those reps out to the house, they are not a structural engineer.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. And as far as, again, can we see we don't see the.
Oh, no.
As far as, again, what they're looking for, if you're doing those repairs, there's always going to be something. Yep. If you have an inspection report that has nothing on it, then that inspector is crap. So, hey, benefit to you, but it's not going to happen. Again, I represent brand new homes, and they're 3, 4, 5 pages long. Really, I hope that answers the question. And, again, that's another thing where, again, if they had a house listed and someone said, oh, we need foundation repair, we're sending out, A+ foundation, I would say, well, y'all can send out whoever you want for free, but the sellers need a structural engineering report.
Right. I think she's just, asking that question. She's a little nervous with a listing that's about to come up soon.
Yeah.
So,
don't freak out when you get your inspection report. Sometimes people really take it personally.
We did on the first one, the very first flip.
I always do.
I looked at it.
She does.
All of this stuff.
I always take them personally, like, y'all tripping over this.
Yeah.
But they're being paid. They're being paid to do that. So they're protecting their client, and that's okay. And I think it's also important, whether you have a real estate agent that's representing you or whether you're representing yourself, it's very important to understand how to negotiate and navigate those waters, because you could literally cost yourself a deal if the buyer on the other end feels like you're being a certain type of way. So communication and how you have those conversations regarding, especially it's very important when it's a totally unrealistic ask. Like, yes, I want every single item on there done. Your first thing is like, no.
Right.
But it's important that you're having that conversation, because, again, 9 times out of 10, they'll be represented. So you're talking to that agent. And I guarantee you, if you're not conducting yourself in a certain way and that agent feels at all that you're being, shady, they're absolutely going to communicate to that to their buyer. And it could absolutely cost you the deal or a lot of money in repairs, because they're going to push hard. And you're going to think, okay, well, I don't have other offers I don't have any other backup offers. This is my only offer. And you don't have that confidence knowing, hey, I can put it back on the market and get something. So again, that's where it's really important to understand how that works and not be fearful of if you need to cut bait and put it back on the market.
Yeah. And
which can be scary.
You made a good point too. Just having a realtor there to communicate with you, communicate for you properly. We killed a deal on our first property that we listed because we were using the listing service.
Yes.
And because we got started rehabbing before we even bought a traditional home. So we had never worked with a realtor or even sold a house. So, we sold houses wholesale. So it was always, Anyway, so we listed a house and it was like for sale for $225,000.
Yeah.
And we had an all cash offer come in at $215,000.
Yeah.
And they wanted a 10-day option period.
Yep.
And they wanted to put down, I think, $200 option money. And we countered at no option period. And I think we asked for like $25.
On a cash.
We killed that deal.
Guys, before you kill a deal, just put it in the group and I'll answer you. Don't do it. Don't cost yourself.
We thought that the option was like the option for them to try to sell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Just completely.
Like we gave them no option period, and they didn't even counter. They just backed out. Like, we're done. Y'all on some shady stuff. Y'all know what y'all doing. No, we're done. So.
And I'll tell you, I do this full-time, a real estate agent full-time. I learn things every single day. So I don't expect that if you're not in that traditional sort of buying, selling element, that you would know any of these things. A lot of it just comes with time and situations, and there's a million different things that could happen a million different ways in real estate. So,
and sometimes the same thing happens, but you have to go about it a different way.
Like if you have 11 offers, like we had on one of their house, right? 11 offers in 48 hours. It's important that you understand really what is your net proceeds going to be. Do you know every cost that's associated with it from just the selling side of things? Do you have, someone in your network that can give you that information? Because you literally may have 2 offers that look almost exactly the same, but could mean a couple $100 difference. And look, every single dollar matters.
Right.
And so it's important to understand those things. Or they're exactly the same, except one's maybe putting down more money, has a lower option period. The different elements that go into it is so important.
Yeah, because I like that you do that. Like when the offers come in, she'll break it down and put on the spreadsheet how much we should end up making in the end.
When they want to close, what type of loan it is.
Exactly.
Yes. Are they asking for a home warranty? All those things. So, any other questions? I know you had a bunch. I was talking a lot. Did you think it? Yes. Hold on. We got to unmute.
So we had a situation, we'll kind of go over about the comps.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know how, real estate agents get to the comps that they pull, but, with everybody pulling like different comps and different numbers or whatnot, and then also like in terms of what a real estate does when they go to list it. I don't know if you have like a certain percentage that you kind of, if the ARV was, just take for instance, 350 or whatever. I mean, you have a certain percentage that you go above and beyond that to try to make it sell at 350 or whatever, but just pulling the comps in general, like.
So there's a coworker I have that she's an agent, but she's just not one that I would probably work with, but I asked her to pull the comps for me. So we looked at the comps comparable to all the comps that we pulled, and they were like way below.
It was
what
like
we
huge difference. You're talking
pulling.
like an $80,000, $100,000 difference.
So what was the difference in the comps that you pulled? Was she pulling a different area, or was she?
So there's 4 numbers altogether. So there's 265, there's 300, there's 310, and 355 and 390, right? So this realtor that she's talking about pulled 265, which was the lowest of them. But and why don't people use active or actual pending sales versus like just the sold sale?
Because pending's going to show pending based on the sales price that's listed, but that house could be under contract pending for $50,000, $75,000 less, or even $5,000 less, or $2,000 more. Until you get the sold in there, you actually don't know the value of the house that it's sold for. I'll always look at pending and active to know who the competition is and kind of what's moving in the market at what price, but it's not until it's actually sold. So it's important to use sold comps, because that's what a appraiser is going to use, are sold comps. And I think it's important to look at it objectively. So when I pull it, I actually send Shakey all of the numbers. Hey, I pulled this address, this address, this address. This one looks like it's about this. It has less square footage, but a bigger yard. This one has a pool. The one you want doesn't have a pool. It's not an exact science when it comes to appraisals, but I've been through enough of them, good, bad, and ugly, that, I'm very objective with what I look at for sold. And sometimes I'm sure she wants me to tell her a much higher, actually, Marcus all the time wants me to tell her a much higher number. But
all the time.
it's my job as a real estate agent, because they're trusting me to give them the actual thing. So to answer your question, I think it's important that you look at what houses are you looking at, what houses are you looking at, what are the differences, and you need to take into account things such as the lot size. Is it on a cul-de-sac? Is yours not on a cul-de-sac? Is it pools? No pools? Is it next to a park? Is it next to a busy street? All of those things have a relative value, not something you can necessarily put a dollar amount on. But when you go to list, you can comfortably say, I feel comfortable listing at this much because the sold support this number.
So like, for instance, like if I'm pulling a higher number than everybody else, right? And other people are, just say I'm at 375, they're at 300, right? I guess, does it depend on like the potential that buyer might see in that home? Or do you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you say it? Like,
yeah, so you could list that. So the one in Pasadena sold for heads and tails above what anything else had sold. So if you look at, we're updating a whole house, and the comp that you pulled at say 300 doesn't have updates. Maybe the lot's bigger and maybe it's on a little more desirable side of the street or something, but it doesn't have any of those updates. You're going to factor that in based on how you know what condition the house is going to be in. So appraisers are going to look at the comps. They're going to look at, when they're looking at comps, they're looking at, features and condition of the home. So you are going to factor in a lot more for condition. Now, if it's a brand new, just sold 3 months ago and a fully updated house, that's going to be a realistic, comp. Unless, like, again, say it's on like a super busy street, or there was, a methamphetamine lab in there and they had to sell it for one. You know what I mean? Like, somebody died. Yeah, it happens, right? Unless there's something that impacts that number, you can reasonably assume that you could sell it for more. I think my advice to you would be find someone that you trust that can look at the comps, will look at the photos, understands what updates you're going to do to the house, and will tell you objectively, this is what, seems to me like what the range would be.
Are you asking about one of the ones you sent me, Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay. I know which one he's talking about, and him and I even had different numbers. And I looked at it, and because when I'm looking at buying, I look at it from a totally different way from when I look at selling.
Sure.
So when I look at buying a property, I'm looking at very conservative. And when you say, do you assume that people are going to see value in it? You have to know your market, and you have to know where you're comfortable, how long you're comfortable letting the house sit.
Yeah.
So if you're hoping that someone sees value in the 395, you have to set a date. Okay, when am I going to lower this?
Yeah.
Because no one may not see value in it. I may have to sell it for close to the 350. I know our numbers were about $25,000 difference, or 25 or 45. Yeah, and so when I was looking at it, I was looking at it from a buying side. But then when I decided that it didn't work for me as a deal, I told him when he went to can I tell the story, Daniel? Is that okay? Okay, I told him when he went to try to market it to other people. You're looking at it from the selling side now.
Yeah.
So you need to put it on the higher side,
Right.
and if they see the value, then they'll buy it.
Right. And
So
I think that's it's important again when you have someone that can, whether
Right.
it's Shakey or real estate, whomever it is, everyone's going to have the different things, but whoever you're talking to should be able to say, this is the properties I'm using, and this is why I have this number that I'm. It should be very black and white and objective.
right.
And what Shakey was saying about setting a date, if you want to try to sell it a wholesale, okay, after 10 days, if we don't have an offer, we want to drop it by this much. Because what will happen, and I guarantee this, you could mark my words, that in your feelings, it will go just one more day. And maybe we can get a buyer. Oh, we're having showings, just one more day, just one more day. And one more day turns into 3 more weeks, and then you're losing money. I see you're the Marcus in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So good.
But it's
I always
okay.
come around and
Yeah. But again, I show very black and white numbers and reasons. So I can go to market. I don't say, I just feel like it.
Right.
I feel like
Right.
no. I'm saying X, Y, Z. If you're gonna do these updates, you can reasonably expect this.
right.
You know what? There's nothing like that. There's been neighborhoods where nothing on that street has been updated since 1972. So you know what? There's a whole lot that we're not going to know about exactly what value people place on that.
Mhm.
So I think it's okay to list higher.
Right.
My saying is, I'll tell you, what is the market telling us? When you list and it's active, what is the market telling you? Is the market putting in offers, or is the market even getting showings?
Right.
Are you getting showings, but you're getting no offers? You have to listen to what the buyers in the market are telling you through the amount of showings you have, the amount of offers you have, and the amount of traffic you're getting.
And that's what I've done. I went through on hard as well as Propelio and showed him some hardcore numbers for both sides. For me, if I was buying it, and for him, if he's selling to someone else.
Yep.
For me, the numbers, me personally, I saw value in it. My lender didn't. So it really just cost too much money for us, what we want to do at the time, because it was outside of our niche anyway. It was closer to the $400 range. I would love to do a house in that area.
Yeah.
Love to, but for the $400,000.
Oh, I was like, I'll take two.
For what our lender was going to lend on it, it was too low.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I see more value than my lender does. But being in that price range, and he didn't see as much, he wasn't lending me enough to even do it. So,
Well, hey, let me ask you this, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you ever run into situations where you run into actual buyers that want a so-called wholesale property, something that's not fixed up, that they want to fix it up to their liking, and already have like their budget is $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
You ever sell them a property that you know what I'm talking about? Not as is, but like we'll fix it up to your liking. Just already have the buyer. You know what I'm saying?
actually, I had the buyer in that case, and the investor was also a real estate agent that I knew in my network. And the people were super particular and picky, and they didn't mind a flooded home, but they wanted a certain layout, they wanted a certain size in a certain area. And this agent happened to have them. So I said, hey, these people, I don't care what you're going to put in the house, they're going to hate it if they don't pick it. Can we meet? And essentially what he did is, it wasn't anything outlandish. They were just really specific. So he said, as long as it's not anything crazy, I'll build in some costs, kind of like a new build type of pick what you want sort of thing. I did do that. I would tell you, I told them, as well as I told agents selling it, I never recommend getting crazy with it, because if they back out, yeah, you got earnest money, but now you have gold lampshades in everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, absolutely, that happens, and it's, I would say, then more than ever, it's probably legally in your best interest to protect your assets, and you have some sort of representation.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things tied into it, where if the buyer backs out, you have the potential to lose a lot of money. And if you have someone representing you, even if the buyer's representing whatever, there's ways to build in more cushion, because it's not a traditional type of timeline.
Right. And I know if we ever get another property in Baytown, we have a buyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
My aunt.
Yeah.
So, and she would want to do that. She doesn't like all the frills, the bells and whistles. It would be a very modest house, but she's literally willing to pay them to, like, if they find something on wholesale, because one, she doesn't want to have to fix it up because she's single. My uncle's since passed. Her adult daughter and the kid live with her. She just doesn't. She has a job. They don't have the time or the resources to be able to update it up front, right? So maybe over time she could finance it on a construction loan. They don't have time to mess with all that. So I literally have a person now. They'll have something in Baytown.
Look, Sergio, I think he lives in Baytown, or he invests in that area.
So who she wants something in the lower price point, that she wants just kind of fixed up, basic, very modest. So it would be able to make them money, not have to do a flashbang house and take 3 months to do it. It would probably take a month. Very basic finishes, have a good profit margin, and everybody's happy. So that exists.
Well, I mean, I guess the other part of it, just, kind of flip that question. Instead of putting all the high-end stuff of what somebody else really wants, what if you have somebody else that's like, I was going to spend $50,000, right? And what they're really wanting is only going to cost 30, So it's better for me, it's better for everybody, really. And I mean, does stuff like that happen to where, you can do it that way as well?
Yeah, and I would tell you, most buyers don't, they have this pie in the sky idea of all these bills. They watch HGTV, and when a buyer says, well, I saw this on HGTV, my response is, if you're going by HGTV rules, we're seeing 3 houses, you're picking 1, and we're done. And that kind of shuts that down for me, right? Because the reality is that's not. Most buyers don't really understand. They have this vision kind of what they want, but most people, those first-time home buyers, in that sort of price point, they really just want a home, a house that feels like home and that they can move into comfortably. And so there's a big price, there's not a huge price tag associated with a lot of that.
Right.
It's very modest, and again, depending on the area, when they did the townhome down by the merchant, you got to get a little jazzy. They did an accent wall. You need those things because that's who the buyers are there. But there's certainly a niche for buyers that really want, just a nice home that looks beautiful that they can move into.
Yeah, the example that you gave with the aunt is the example that I'm talking about. Like, normally for, a house in Baytown, we can only get it at a pretty decent price. So we want to do all the finishes and update a lot, but my aunt doesn't require all that.
My aunt would hate, she'd be like, how do I clean the granite? I'm from the trailer, I got the trailer, so no shame in my game. Like, she's had some mica countertops over life, so she doesn't care if it's a fancy quartz or if it's literally just a slab of whatever granite was left over off the granite yard. She doesn't care if there's all carpet in the house. I mean, that's crazy. But those people exist. And that's where, again, building your network and you're finding those types of buyers. I mean, again, Shakey and Marcus know I got somebody ready when y'all find the right one. And that's where building your network comes in.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so I think that kind of covered the traditional. Does anyone else have any questions? I mean, someone that may be looking into, buying or selling their personal home. Do you have any questions for Kelly on that side? If not, we're going to be wrapping up. Yeah. And then, Kelly, if you don't mind, I'd like to put at least your email address out.
I'm kidding.
Okay. In case
You can
someone's
give me my
interested.
cell phone.
Okay.
You can Google me.
I put her cell phone number down. I said, don't bombard her with questions if you don't plan on working with her. But if you have some potential leads and you're interested in working with her, go ahead and contact her directly. And that goes for investing and the traditional side.
And text is usually quicker for me.
Right.
I'm a crazy time blocker, and so if I'm in a meeting or something, I'll have my phone it's face up and it's bugging the crap out of me. I usually have it face down because, again, I like to focus on whatever it is that I'm doing. But yeah, you guys are welcome to have my number, shoot me a text or something. If it's something, I'm not afraid to say, okay, we're at 20 questions, let's talk business. How am I going to represent you?
Right.
But it's great to have that conversation.
Right.
I'm happy to be a resource.
Right. And some questions she's not going to be able to answer if she doesn't represent you already.
Yes.
We ran into that before. Yeah. You just can't answer our questions if you don't have a contract.
And I'll tell you, I'll say, hey, I don't represent you, so I can't tell you. There may be other people out there that don't follow the rules. I have a very successful business following all the rules and keeping my license intact, and that's how I operate. So if I say that, don't be offended, and just again, I will learn from it. So if an agent is telling me that, yeah, maybe they're giving me insight, but what else are they doing that's outside the boundaries of what they're supposed to be doing? Because real estate, as you guys know, it can be scary, and there's a lot of legal ramifications that can happen if you're not playing by the rules. There's a lot of gray area, and I'm perfectly fine with gray, but as it comes to the black and the white areas of what's actually against the rules and not, like, I don't operate on those because it puts you at risk, it puts me at risk, and we're all here because we enjoy what we do and we want to keep doing it.
Yep. Absolutely. Daniel and Kristen, I really appreciate all y'all's questions and everything, engagement. I know Vanessa Sergio, do you have any questions? Maybe Doc. I think she's still on Facebook.
Oh,
really,
man.
Marcus?
Yeah, there you go.
You're still on Facebook. If you have something, go ahead and type it out. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. Vanessa, I know you've been out there making phone calls. Sergio, you've been hustling as well. Y'all had questions for us previously. Y'all have any other questions while we're out here together? Nothing.
While you guys are thinking, I know. Oh, does somebody have one? Not him. Hey.
Oh, and
hey, what's your number?
I know, and happy anniversary to Kelly and Joel.
It is our anniversary. This is how he sends me out of the house. So.
Hey, I have one question for you guys. So for those folks that are interested but haven't taken their the first step, what advice do you guys have for those folks out there that are interested into getting into the business but may not have taken their first step?
Something very I heard I guess you can get a slogan this week, and I was like, man, that's good. And I was talking to someone on a totally unrelated business. But I feel like everyone does this when they're trying to get a business or idea off the ground. Don't make it minor things. Everyone thinks that to start this, you have to be a millionaire, a thousandaire. You have to have your LLC already in line. Our advice always is just get started. Your launch is never going to be perfect.
And if it is perfect, you waited way too long.
Right.
Way too long.
So our advice is just get started. At least get started making those connections, and don't just stop there. Let's just get out and take massive action. write your goals down and actually commit and see what active steps you're gonna have to take to get there. Don't just, not ideas, action that you're gonna have to take to get there, and just start there. Like, go for it.
Famous plug for the course. It is free, and it is a step-by-step guide on how to get started. Right. And we do have the Winner Circle available. So if you have questions on anything you see in there,
he's on Facebook, but he don't do.
That's all good.
So, yeah, and also this just related
to my business.
Pick your niche and commit to that one thing. Because I know when we first got started, we said we wanted to invest in real estate. We didn't know what we wanted to do, and we tried everything from wholesale to selling once we had no money at the time. So just choose one thing, commit to it, and go all in.
Yep.
And if you need a realtor,
she was.
I think I may know one.
Can I answer your question, though?
And hey, the other thing that I wanted to say too is just thank you guys so much for. I know this is my first time on the call. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Oh, there, I went blank for a second. But I know you guys were saying that you do it to help other people and you want to see other people win. And I know the many conversations that I've had with both of you guys live that truly every single day, and you guys are a blessing to everyone else, and the fact that you guys want to see him win, all three of y'all. So just want to say thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Shane.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. But I know Marcus does too, but I enjoy this so much to where sometimes I have to question, like, am I doing this for self? Like, do I really get a kick out of I get so much fulfillment out of like just hearing about people wins or hearing about people getting started or people sending me deals. I'm like, I just gotta check this. I'm just like, what are you doing at 11 o'clock? Like, why are you here? I just have to check this for this person before I go to sleep. And I just
she tells me that we're both okay. Let's see what we got.
Yeah. So I just want to always make sure that I'm not operating out of self and that I really feel my purpose, and I get so involved to where I feel like I have to question it sometimes, but it really is for everyone else. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I'm super excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I went past 30. I hope nobody's mad. I get super passionate and excited about it. Because it's a great thing. This is a great industry full of amazing people. Obviously, there's some crap people too. That's a right? But it's such a there's no better feeling than being at the closing table. When I found out, I thought I was excited. Woo, I made them some money, and they were like, "Oh, we actually made this much money." I was so excited when I hit that goal, and I said, "I'm gonna make you more money." When I actually achieved it, there's no better feeling than hoping people will achieve whatever it is that they want it, whether it's gaining knowledge about real estate. And again, I know you guys have some other realtors that may be in the group, and so I would say, reach out. We're a wealth of knowledge. And again, this is all I do all day, every day, and I'm always happy to, if it can help you in any way, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right.
Oh, I thought it was someone else's mic, but I realized when we're talking, you just can hear yourself talk. So that's what it is. That's it. Thank you all. Thank y'all for standing on.
Going to talk about. I'm sorry. But we talked about this in the car because we want to see you guys' beautiful faces. So we're in the works of planning a meetup for everyone.
Yeah.
So everyone in the Winner Circle, we just kind of want you guys to meet up and talk and chat it out, ask us some questions, network together. We are putting something like that together for you guys. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're in the very beginning phases of it, but I would like for it to be somewhat of a holiday party. So since we have the holidays coming up, we'll put a date out there soon so y'all can plan your calendars accordingly. So hope to see y'all.
If any of them have little ones, I could bring my oldest for like a babysitting. If we do it somewhere where there's like a
and there'll be a tip jar at least there,
Oh,
cash.
Unless she's in trouble, then she's working for free.
Cash on PayPal, Zelle.
And she is first aid and CPR certified. She's a legit.
Thank you.
She's actually a lifeguard somewhere, so she's a for real thing.
We'll have coloring books and stuff like that. Yeah,
that way it can be a family thing. You guys could, enjoy a little bit of the networking time and have that. I'm happy to donate her.
See that light picture? That was nice. That's
which
that's
one?
Kelly's house. He just flipped it up.
Where's the light? Oh, the canister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love the light picture, Joel. You just gave us a little.
He hates cleaning
insight.
them. Don't ask him. You look at him laughing. He hates. You gotta unscrew them and actually wash them.
Oh, wow.
But they're beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be dusty in my house.
Oh, they
I
are
don't
for a
have
long
time
time.
for that. Okay. So
right.
yeah, that's all we had. Thank you all for. Thank you
Do you want me
guys.
to say my number right now, or are you gonna type?
Oh
on
yeah,
the
you can say it now. Then we'll type it in later
Okay.
as well.
So Kelly Donawa, DONAWA. You're certainly welcome to follow my business page. You can Google me. I'm on HAR. Read my reviews. Stalk me so you can, hopefully you can see what my credentials are. I'm not ashamed. I'm very proud of what I do. So again, don't be afraid to look me up. But my cell phone number is 281-236-3678. And so you can just shoot me a text. If you want my email or something, shoot me a text and I'll reply back with my contact card that has my LinkedIn, my Facebook page, business page, my HAR profile, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So you can find me pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. And if you like her Facebook page too, she also gives out tips on real estate. I think weekly or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's not all like, oh, this house is for sale. It's like DIY tips, ways to make more money when you're going to go sell. Again, the majority of my business is traditional buyers and sellers, so you can kind of see the tips and tricks that I share with them, and those are absolutely the things that they're going to be looking for, or that resellers are going to be looking for to do, that they're going to be your competition, or buyers that could potentially be your buyers. So you can get some insight on what's really happening in the market that way. When I do have a listing, I'll post it usually only once. I'm not going to post a whole bunch of stuff and overwhelm you. I figure people, 96%, here's a great, statistic for you. 96% of all home sales originate online. That's why I use professional photographers, and I pay a pretty penny for them because they're worth every dollar. So even if you're not using an agent, please do not take the picture with your phone, and do not get caught in the mirror, because as a real estate agents, we will laugh at you, and we have a page that we share them on. So just know that that's how it goes. Oh yeah, right. So but it's important. So you can, it's. I think that's where. We really do have a page where we make fun of it. I mean.
Anyway,
no.
so make sure you like her Facebook
like
page.
me on there. You'll know what's going on. Like I said, people already know homes.com, realtor.com, Zillow, all that good stuff. But so my page is more of kind of informational, what's going on in the market. Every once in a while, I put funny things on there because I'm a little quirky, and I like to, I like to bring a little humor into what I do. But you're always welcome to like, comment, share. If you want to leave a review about, the information I provided today, on there, hey, knock yourself out. I'm happy to have that feedback on there. I've actually picked up a couple of buyers from there, from Facebook, complete strangers that saw, read my reviews and, solicited my, me to represent them. So, hey, by all means. But anyway, that's my number. You can find me pretty much all over the place. And I'm also on the Winner Circle page. You can always @ me. And I'm pretty active on social media. So generally I have a pretty quick reply timeline. And if I can ever help you guys in any way, if you'd ever like to sit down and talk about real estate and talk about maybe how a realtor could help you with any potential listings you have coming up, or partnering with you to help you grow your investment business, I can certainly sit down and have that conversation with you guys, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, and we especially really do not want to forget about the traditional side, especially. I mean, I hate to keep honing in on that, but I've even recommended Kelly to family members, and she's sold properties for them. It's not just like
right before it flooded. So
I know.
Sorry for the buyer.
And it was in a tough market, and she got it sold for a great price and a great amount of time compared to what other houses were selling for. So,
I'll take care of any referrals. I mean, I'm very thankful, and I work very hard, and I won't embarrass you. It's not like you're going to give my info and then I don't show up and I ghost everybody. No, I'm going to work hard. But yeah, and any way I can help out. And I just want to throw this out there. Once your business is up and rolling and you're ready to move it on up, maybe to a bigger house, I got you.
Even though she wants
I could sell your house. You don't have anywhere to live. You know what? right. She's
Real
trying
life.
to move into my
True story.
upstairs.
True story. True story. She don't want me to move in with her. That's what it was. Anyway.
Look at
Like,
Okay,
Okay, guys, we won't hold y'all with
Yeah,
jokes.
thank you so much.
Thank y'all so much for staying over almost 30 minutes. We appreciate all the questions. I'm going to put Kelly's information in there. Thank you, Kelly,
Thank you
for
for having
joining us,
me.
providing awesome information on your anniversary. Sorry, Joel, she'll be home soon. And happy anniversary again to y'all.
They went out to eat without me too. I just wanted to.
Oh,
He took the girls out to eat. No, we're going out of town for the weekend.
Oh,
so
y'all kids
just
get
him and I.
special treatment.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my oldest was like, "Hey, so we're gonna have great fun at our anniversary dinner. We'll miss you." I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
thanks."
wow.
Wow, Joel.
I
Okay.
love it. At least it was our
Class act.
anniversary.
Class act.
Anyway,
I like it.
we
I
can't
like
hear
it.
you, but we see your expression. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
see ya.